Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Darian Jones. I'm the Digital and Development Specialist at Care Partners. We're here today with another Hot Topic Live segment. I'm really looking forward to it. We have Christian Fitsch-Mouras from 101 Mobility in Houston, who's going to be talking to us about different ways to stay home and safe, stay at home, aging in place type thing. So it's a really exciting presentation. And before we get started, though, I just want to give you a few updates from Care Partners. Because of the coronavirus, our traditional in-person programming is still suspended, but we're doing some varied types of some different programs. So the best way to find out about that is going to be to call our office or call one of our coordinators. We're also offering the virtual Common Ground support group twice a week, along with gathering at your place. And we're just updating our website with different resources as well. So we'd love for you to visit our website and find some different resources. If you have questions, you can also email us at info@carepartnerstexas.org. And we're always looking to hear from you all. If you have some suggestions for things you want to see, or just to say hi and just stay connected with us, we'd love to hear from you. And so today's topic is home, sweet home, staying safe and independent at home. And with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Hi, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Darian.
I'm so glad that you're here. Will you tell us just a little bit about 101 Mobility and about yourself?
Okay. Good morning. First of all, thank you to Care Partner for having me this morning. 101 Mobility, we're expert in mobility and accessibility solutions. What we do really is help people stay safe and independent in their home as opposed to having to move out. Okay. As far as I am concerned, I'm the president of 101 Mobility in Houston. And I have a couple of certifications. I'm a certified aging in place specialist. I'm also a certified home assessment and modification professional. I'm also sit on the board of the Houston Gerontological Society and of the Houston Continuity of Care Association. Should we start?
Yeah, we'd love to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. So if we can have the first slide on the screen. Thank you. So what we're going to discuss today is the ways to stay safe, independent in the home, that home that has not necessarily been designed initially for an aging population. So I already introduced myself. We'll skip this one. So over 3 out of 4 of us senior adults, we prefer to age in place. What it does mean to age in place is staying at home as opposed to moving out and try to make our home the forever home. So the problem is our life can change in minutes, and the statistics speaks for themselves. 1 out of 3 older adults will fall in the next 12 months period. And every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated for the ER, in the ER for a fall, and every 19 minutes, unfortunately, an older adult dies from a fall, older adult being 65 and plus. These come from some verified sources, of course. A very popular belief, which is true, is just remember, if you fall once, you are twice as likely to fall again. So we need to address this major issue in order to be able to stay safe at home. So the primary risk areas, any difference in level, such as porch, front door, indoor stairs, steps, curbs, threshold, etc. Of course, the bathroom also, because it might be challenging to access the tub and shower because it's slippery when wet, and also because it's a place where we're mostly naked, so we are even more vulnerable. That were really the two big topics of these presentations. So talking about difference in levels, that with a front porch, it might be a couple of steps or more. And in Houston in particular now, with those this flood plan and those homes that have been elevated or just built very high, there is quite a few steps in between the garage floor or outdoor and the main floor of the house. And that definitely are a big issue. Also, any threshold, some may become very difficult to manage. And there is a lot of different traps inside the home, any difference in evenness of the floor, and of course the rugs. But at least it's a big fix. Just remove the rugs. The stairs, we'll talk about that. So how do I access my front door? Okay, the first thing we think of are ramps. Okay, there is a guideline from the ADA that we don't want to go steeper than 1 foot of travel distance for every inch of rise. Of course, we do not have to be ADA compliant because it's our home. It's not public access. It's not for everyone. It's just for us. But still, it's a good guideline if it is not the law. So 1 foot of travel distance for every inch of rise. That means every step is about 7 to 8 inches. So we're talking with 7 or 8 foot for every step. So you can understand that it will be a very long ramp. It could be a very long ramp. So not be the best way if we have a high elevated porch. So that's why we'll look at a vertical platform lift as well, and outdoor stair lift. So threshold ramps up to about 4 or 5 inches, either aluminum or rubber. Rubber is more firm, more comfortable to use. Aluminum is easier to move and take away, but also it can be stolen, unfortunately. Portable ramp that allow to go a little higher. However, it's more like a temporary solution, probably not good for someone wheeling himself or herself up, but more for someone in a wheelchair being pushed by a caregiver, because usually it's too steep. Here, for instance, on this picture, we have 3 steps, which means we are about 24 inches of rise, but this ramp is only 8 foot, not 24 foot. So it's of course too steep for someone to use by themselves. But it could be a good temporary solution, and it can be taken places. Here is what I'm talking about, the 12-to-1 ratio, 12 inches of travel distance for every inch of rise. So 2 steps, this is at least 15 inches, that will be a 15-foot ramp. 20 inch will be at least 20-foot ramp. So now if we have a 4-foot porch, now we're talking about 48 foot of ramp. You understand that the footprint is becoming too big, and also the cost now is will be probably prohibitive. So it's really something to go up to 3 foot. Usually we have a couple of examples here for permanent, more permanent setting with handrails, things like that. And the good thing also, this can be rented, by the way. So if we want to go higher now, we may not have the room to install a long ramp. So from a footprint perspective, when we go over 3 foot, definitely we want to go with a vertical platform. Very often also, if you were try to go over 3 foot of ramp, the cost of the ramp will now probably exceed the cost of the vertical platform lift. Vertical platform lift can go up to 14 feet, but you will see that there is a big jump in price and cost between going over below 6 foot and over 6 foot. Outdoor stair lift, a good solution as well, in particular for all those garage apartments that have an outdoor stair lift, and it's much less expensive than an elevator, of course. So talking about stair lift, we'll talk about straight stair lift and curved stair lift. It is very different, I'll tell you why. When it comes to elevators, we'll see two big families, the traditional elevator in a hoistway or shaft, elevator shaft, and what we call the shaftless elevator or through the floor elevators. Straight stair lift, very straightforward, from 300 to 600 pounds. The cost of it for a good, a very good stair lift, good warranty install will start at about $3,000, but it can go up $6,000 depending on the weight capacity, the different options we need, and also if we need a folding rail at the bottom. That unfortunately the cost driver. If you have a doorway or a hallway and the rail will create a trip hazard, now you will need a folding rail, and that folding rail will add some cost as well. So now if we talk about a curved stair lift, now it's a completely different animal, because if a straight stair lift is basically a lift that rides on a track that is a piece of extruded aluminum that we cut to fit and that we can install next day, a curved stair lift, however, the track has to be fabricated to fit that very staircase. It's kind of a custom order, if you will. So it takes a month. It's much more labor intensive. So depending on the configuration of the stairs, it's anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000. The one on the left is more in the range of $15,000, where the one on the right is more close to $18,000 or over $18,000, and it has to do with the type of curve. Elevators, two types. For certain homes that have been designed as elevator ready, they have elevator shaft built in, usually in the form of several large closets that are stacked up one above each other, one on each floor, and that have the size that are big enough to accommodate an elevator. We just have to remove the floors and prepare the supporting wall and to install the elevator. For houses that do not have such elevator shaft, the cost of creating the shaft would be a complete remodeling project, and that will drive the cost of installing an elevator significantly up from otherwise $25,000, $30,000 to maybe $50,000 or more. So for that, we have another type of elevator, then different models, which call through the floor elevator, as shown on the picture on the right. The hoistway, the construction work is limited to creating a hoistway through the ceiling to the next floor, but all the weight in all those two rails that you can see on the both sides of the cab, basically it looks like a phone booth traveling between those two rails. With this technology, the lift itself is slightly more expensive, but the construction work being very limited, the total project is closer to $30,000 as well. Of course, the weight capacity is not exactly the same. There is no pit, so it's easier to install, but also doesn't have exactly the same capacity. But keep in mind, you can have an elevator installed in your home for about $30,000. When I'm giving prices, I'm always giving prices with installation, and permitting, and inspection. So the bathroom now. We'll talk about grab bars. We'll talk about transfer benches, walking tubs, and also rolling showers. Okay. So grab bars, what very important to understand is what matters here is really the installation. The cost of a grab bar is not in the grab bar itself, but in the proper anchoring. So ideally, we'd like to have a wall reinforcement or blocking the proper location behind the tiles or the wall of the sheetrock in the bathroom. But unfortunately, it's rarely the case. When we do a bathroom remodeling, we'll always put blocking behind that you can easily put brake bar after the fact. But most of the case, it's not. Most often, it's not the case. So we need to use special anchor that can hold 300 pounds each just on the sheetrock. It works very well, but it's more expensive. So the cost of the grab bar is really not in the grab bar. It is in the proper anchoring and labor to install the grab bar properly if you don't want to have to repair your wall. Also, the grab bar does not have to be ugly. You don't want to necessarily your bathroom to look like a rehab center. There are a lot of designer grab bars. It can even be in the shape of a shelf, of a toilet paper holder, things like that, so that it doesn't look like a rehab center. There is a solution there. That's an interesting product as well, very versatile. It's a tension post with a perpendicular bar that can be swiveled by increment of 45 degrees. Very, very convenient to locate by the commode and the tub. Can serve both purposes. It's not very expensive. It doesn't require any modification to the home, and it can be repositioned to find the nice spot. It can be used also to get to the tub, by the bed, or the favorite chair. Walking tub, I like this subject. They're definitely not something we are not very fan of that for a very good reason. First of all, it takes ages to fill up, okay, but also it takes ages to empty. But by that time, you're getting cold, and it's also known for some drowning accident, people with poor trunk stability slipping to the bottom of the tub and not being able to get back on the seat. So we even have, I know of a customer of ours who had bought a walking tub like that, not from us though, and actually she doesn't have the patience to wait until the thing empties out, so she just climbed out. So much for the safety. There are very cheap alternatives. The cheapest would be this conversion system for existing tub. However, it does not work on every tub, but it's a possibility. You can have also lift like that does not require any modifications. It can just be removed, and you have your original bathroom and tub. And of course, we're going to talk about bathroom remodeling. This is a very traditional bathroom with a 5-foot tub pocket, and we could install grab bars like this. Usually, it's about one vertical to help go over the wall of the tub and one horizontal on the back wall. But in this case, what we've done is this that has taken the place of the tub. It's a roll-in shower. You can see that it can be used by anyone, not just someone in a wheelchair, but someone in a wheelchair can use it. You see the floor with no threshold at all. Actually, there is a grade, and you want this to be done by a contractor that knows how to do that properly. This is very important. Most of the contractor will tell you this is not possible. Actually, that's because they don't know how to do it. At least they are being honest. What you don't want is someone who tell you, yeah, I think I can do that. Well, because if it does not know how to do it, the next thing you will know is the water running in your bedroom. So you don't want that. Here you have indeed a grade toward the back wall and a linear drain that catches all the water. It works very well with when paired with a weighted shower curtain. Here we can see also that the vanity that has been just modified, not replaced, just modified to accommodate a wheelchair if needed. Another case that was for a man, a 93 years old man, blind. Of course, his tub was not accessible at all anymore. So that we turned that space into this. Same thing, same concept, no threshold at all, a grade toward the back wall, linear drain at the back. Usually we don't recommend the glass doors. We prefer the curtain to provide more flexibility, more room for a caregiver. But in this case, we had a 4 feet deep shower place, so there was room enough for 2 people inside. So the customer wanted to have a glass door, so we installed a glass door. These, as I show you, might be a little pricey. There are some ways to do it cheaper. Here we have a simple tub in a more modest home, which was important to keep costs down. This is what we've done. It's a prefab shower, not the one that we can find at Home Depot. It's still a low threshold, can be accessible with a wheelchair. The black thing you see is a rubber threshold, a collapsible rubber threshold that can be walked or rolled over. And also what very important is to be able to widen door, 24 inch. This one is of course accessible with theoretically with a wheelchair, but there is not much room. The homeowner was not in the wheelchair, but with a walker, and a walker doesn't go through a 24-inch door. So we were able to widen the door to 30 inches, but just enough for him to go to his commode, to the commode or the shower. Now there are other means for people who really are not mobile at all anymore, what we call Hoyer lift, Hoyer being a brand, okay, like Kleenex, for instance, but it really means floor lifts or sit-to-stand lifts, and also overhead lifts, either freestand or ceiling lift. And the razor, which is a device that can be used without a sling, just for one purpose, is to pick up people on the floor that are unable to get up. This is a device that even 75 years old small lady can use to lift her 250-pound or 300-pound husband. This is a floor lift with a big difference with the sit-to-stand, usually preferred for different reasons, especially for the self-esteem of the patient. But it's good, but the patient has to be able to bear at least 25% of their own weight. Overhead ceiling lift. This is the ceiling lift shown on the big picture, requires a lot of installation, so it cannot be rented, but the one on the left can be rented for a temporary use. We have also pool lift, whether you want just to access your pool or because you have a pool therapy program to go by. There are solutions also to access the passenger seat of the car. This is definitely a challenge for people who are definitely wheelchair bound. Sometimes it's very difficult to get in the car. There are solutions for this. Or if you can do that, you can also have the seats go out of the vehicle to at a transfer height with a wheelchair, for instance, or just regular sitting heights take you in the car. So I tried to, and there are, of course, all the mobility solution to help you stay independent, go places with your wheelchair or your scooter, and load your mobility device in or outside your vehicle to go places. So I was trying to keep that within 20-25 minutes. I hope I did the job. I know that I had to go fairly fast on certain slides, so I'll be more than happy to answer questions now.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. So you guys have so many different types of devices and modifications. Is there maybe like a top product or something that you always recommend to people, or is it kind of personalized for every person?
We do consultation, and we help selecting the right solution or designing the right solutions. If someone lives in a one-story home, you will probably not need a stair lift. Okay, but so it really depends. It really depends on the situation, on the home itself, and also on the ability of the patient. For a lot of us, it's about preparing for the future, anticipating. Which is very sad is people who do not anticipate at all. They live in complicated houses with like a different level in the house and never thought of it. It's kind of a denial, but keep that in mind. With an average life expectancy close to 80 years old, it is very likely that we will need some grab bars or some mobility device at some point of time, unless we die in a crash, of course. Okay. It is very very likely. So just not taking that into consideration is a form of denial. And so often I see patients that never thought of that. They are in their 70s, they fall once, and in 45 seconds their life has changed. Now they cannot live in their house anymore. They never thought of it. So it's really, if you really want to make your home your forever home, don't deny the possibility that some aspect of your home might be challenging at some point.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, it reminds me of my grandparents. They have worked really hard. They've lived in their home now for, I think, 10 years or so, but they were thinking ahead and planning. And so they were like, we only want a one floor house, one-story house. And they built their bathroom specific so that they could make modifications later on. And then you talked about renting a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works?
Yes, there are a lot of solutions that can be rented either because the need is temporary. For instance, mom coming for the holiday, or mom coming for a certain period of time, or for recovery after surgeries, things like that. Okay, or because you're not sure it will work for you. So we want to test, to try, and if it works for you, maybe you'll buy. So we even have like rent to own programs, things like that. So and we even have program where you start renting, and if you change your mind within the first 2 months, everything you pay toward the rental goes toward the purchase price. So we try to adapt to the situation. Now, of course, it's only for standard product that requires very little installation. For instance, a straight stairlift can be rented. A curved stairlift cannot be rented because it's a custom rail, right? Mm-hmm. Also, you can rent floor lifts. You can rent seat to stand. You can rent most of patient lift, not the ceiling lift, because it requires too much installation. Okay, but overhead lift that is self-standing, if you will, it could be rented. Things like that. Some ramps as well. The long ramps can be rented, absolutely.
Very cool. And then, so how have things kind of changed for you at 101 Mobility during this pandemic? And do you have any advice for seniors who may be stuck at home?
Yes. Well, first of all, yes. Typically, in order to perform our duties properly, we need to do a really home consultation. It's the best way. So now, of course, now with the pandemic and people being reluctant to have people in their home, and I understand that, and we do understand that. Okay, so we have been offering like virtual consultation where we used Zoom or FaceTime, and that they can show us around the home or the specific location and the bathroom, things like that. So we can at least have a first pre-consultation where we can already educate and give a lot of advices as to way. The other thing, of course, we have trained and equipped our people, and myself as well, wearing the masks, gloves, behaving in such a way that we minimize the risk when visiting. Okay.
Very good. Yeah. I just want to touch on that because I know everything's a little bit different for everyone right now. And I think my last question is going to be, you talk about the personal approach and kind of start to finish, really tailoring it towards the person's needs. Do you just want to talk about that process a little bit more?
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Just telling us a little bit more about the personalized approach you have. And
Oh, okay. Okay, so it really depends, as you said, because very often we talk to the adult children who work for their parents, who prepare the work for their parents, sometimes in spite of their parents. Back to the denial thing, where sometimes we will speak directly to the end user. So it's not exactly the same approach. Of course, there are people who really do not know nothing at all. People who had done a lot of homework before. So it's not. So we are kind of already guided to a solution. And sometimes they are right, sometimes they are not. So it might be a little touchy sometimes. But so it really depends on the person. And the objectives, very important, the objective.
very good. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here today and sharing this really helpful information with us.
You're more than welcome. I'm very happy to be of any help. If anyone wants more information, I'll be more happy to share.
Here, I think, let me see, does this slide have, there's your email. So there, we'll put that up one more time if people want to reach out.
Yes.
They're really, really great service. And just once again, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I think with that, oh, wait, we have a comment real quick. Nancy says, very informative. Thank you. So many more options than I had previously been aware of. Appreciate the rent and the rent to own options. So yeah, those are some really cool options. And yeah, we're so glad you could be here.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me, and have a very nice weekend.
You too. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.